Good evening. Welcome to the November work session meeting of the Central Valley School Board, November the 8th, 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do roll call. Okay. Colleen, do you do roll call, please?
Mr. Castro.
Here.
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 Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Hart.
Here.
Mr. O'Neill.
Here.
Mr. Ross.
Here.
Mr. Ritzky.
Here.
Mr. Ambrose.
Here. Thank you. Before we get into routine items, I'd like to apologize for being 4 or 5 minutes late. And I'll let our solicitor explain why.
Yeah, we did hold an executive session immediately prior to tonight's public meeting to discuss personnel matters and to receive information.
Thank you. Okay. Number 1, presentation audit report from Cipher and Cipher. You're up.
Well, thank you for having me this evening. I'm Charlie with Cipher and Cipher. I handed out just a presentation. We finished the financial part of the audit. We still have the compliance aspect for the federal program piece. Once that's finished, we'll bound up the copy and get everything to you. But I thought it was important for us to get to you to talk about the financial results of the district for June 30th. We're going to start with page 2. The year was for June 30th. 2023. One thing we'd like to emphasize that the financial statements will be the responsibility of your administration. Our responsibility is to conduct our audit in accordance with government standards. And the opinion you will receive is unmodified. As a board, that's what you would expect to hear from your auditor. As I mentioned, for districts that receive more than $750,000 of federal funds, were required to do a compliance audit. The programs that were selected is going to be your ESSER funds. That process is still in the making. So we're going to move forward. Page 4, general fund. We brought in $42,989,000 and we spent $42,870,000. Net change in the general fund was $119,000 increase. So at the end of the day, your fund balance totaled $4.7 million, of which there's a couple components to that. Part of it is committed for PEASers through a bond issue of $891,000. There's an assignment of $1 million for technology and a unassigned balance of $2.8 million. In relation to your 23-24 budget, that represents about 6% of your operating expenses. Page 5, this is your capital reserve fund. This past year, we had a Todd Lane roof project pretty much running through this. We had revenues of $12,000, which was basically interest earnings, construction costs of $917,000. Resulting in a net decrease. At the end of the year, we had just a cash balance there of $33,000. Page 6, we have our construction fund. A few years back, we issued some debt for center grade renovations. Revenues there were $180,000. Construction costs were $6.6. We had a fund balance totaling $6.7 million at the end of the year. If you turn to page 7, this is just some broad strokes of your sources of revenue compared to your budget. This is a 5-year graph. 2023 is across the top. Our actual revenues, as I mentioned, were 42 mil. We budgeted 41. If you move to page 7, what I've done is I've broken the revenues into 4 different categories. First is your tax revenue. You can see we budgeted 23 mil and we actually received 22 mil. Largest variances in that particular category had to do with center real estate tax collections that were a little soft. And our amounts laid with tax claim were a little higher for Center Township. Earned income tax collections were up. As you can see, other revenues, state revenues were pretty tight to what we anticipated and what we received. The federal funds, that variance there relates to ESSER funds that were utilized during the year that wasn't entered into the budget in the prior year. Same thing as page 9. This is a broad stroke of your expenditures. We spent 42,800,000. We budgeted 40 mil. So you can see our budgeted or our actual expenses were greater than what we budgeted. You turn to page 10. These are the major categories of how you spend your money. And you can see this is a terrific job here of budgeted expenses to actual expenditures. You can see the lines are very tight. This is prudent management. Page 11. And you're going to see things are pretty tight here, other than if you look in the central area. And what that related to was technology purchases utilized with the ESSER's funds. So you notice on the revenue side, we had revenue greater than budget. On the expenditure side, we recognize those expenditures. So our expenditures are greater than budget. But the operations of the district, other than ESSER, as you can see, is right in line with anticipation.
And the two pretty much canceled each other out.
That's correct. Turn to page 12. Fund balance went up $119,000. So at the end of the day, we ended up at $4.7 million. Page 13, we're often asked, what is a good fund balance? Rule of thumb is 4%, 6%, 8% of your operating budget. And you're right at 6%. So, you know, you're right in that sweet spot of where you want to be. And just recent discussion with the administration, there's going to be some challenges on the horizon with healthcare, with the consortium that's going to need to be dealt with, as well as a new bus contract to where you can anticipate some higher costs than budgeted. So you're going to have to monitor those costs closely in the up and coming year. Interfund balances, the general fund at the end of the year owed to cafeteria $96,000. And basically, that's just the exchange of payroll and subsidies being received between the two funds. So the business office at the end of the year often just handies up and pays that balance. Federal programs, as I mentioned, single audit is going to be subject to ESSER funds. There's been development in the spending of federal funds to where Deloitte, actually PDE engaged Deloitte to come out and do reviews of districts, how they're spending their ESSER funds. And there's a hit list, but they're focusing extraordinary amount of time on bidding, quoting, co-purchase arrangement purchases with co-stars and PEPM, minority interest things. Are you, what is it? Making sure the vendor is eligible, a qualified vendor. It's a litany of testing that they're doing for compliance. Here, we ran into a lot of districts in non-compliance with the bidding and quoting requirements. So that's an area just to keep an eye on. But that,
Considering whether people are utilizing co-stars and PEPM in those programs, or
yes, well, you can use them. The issue is there's, I think, some miscommunication of when the programs came out. I'll say there's like 3 sandboxes: your local funds, your state funds, and your federal funds. In the federal funds, you have quoting requirements between $10,000 and $22,500, where you have to obtain 3 quotes. And then over 22.5, you have to obtain 3 bids and advertise. A lot of districts were under the impression that the purchase with co-stars satisfies the 3 bid requirement. It doesn't. They didn't have the documentation in place for the district to obtain. Even though the bidding is being done at co-stars as well as at Pepin, they're still wanting the district to document that purchase internally. That's been the mishap between co-stars and Pepin. It's my understanding that PD has, actually Pepin has obtained legal letter saying that they're federal compliant, but co-stars has not. So it's all in their internal processes of documenting those purchases. And that's amazing. I mean, co-stars is a state-run organization, you know. They just need to up their ante a little bit.
Thank you.
ESSER's funds are pretty much spent as of June 30th. I think there's a couple small grants that are rolling into 2023, 24. So, you know, it's kind of back to business as usual here at the district, to where we don't have that federal funding. It's been utilized over the last 3 years, basically. Cafeteria. This is a bright star. The cafeteria had a profit of $175,000. That's great performance for a cafeteria. Often we're lucky to see them in a break-even point. They increased the reimbursement rates for the lunches and breakfast meals. And that's what has also attributed to the profits in the cafeterias. Lastly, I should be quite pleased with what's happening in the business office. I understand there's a passing of the torch here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Look forward to work with you.
As well.
And I want to thank the board for the opportunity to serve and be the auditor. If you have questions, please don't hesitate, but thank you.
I think you just want to clarify
Yes, sir.
something, just so that it's made clear that, as an example for the construction fund,
Mhm.
was the funding total balance was at the end of June 30th,
Year.
not the end of the project.
That is correct.
So that's clear.
Yes, this is, all these figures are as of June 30th.
And the fact of the capital reserve, that was money that was a bond refinance specifically under the bond requirements that we allocated for that roof.
Right.
I just don't want to make sure that, not necessarily people here, but people are listening and everything, that we do not have a
Yeah, the impression that
$7 million
The
excess.
number now is $4.3 million.
How much further is the project along?
getting close to being done.
With it being complete, we have 4 points.
Which was allocated for the other
Right.
projects within the
So
district.
we're right on schedule.
It's awesome.
Other questions for Charlie?
Well, thanks for putting me on the agenda first. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you coming down as well. And I also want to follow up, talked about getting together.
Yes.
Check your-
Yeah. Mhm. Good night. Thank you.
Appreciate
Have
it.
a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and once again, kudos to our administration, Dr. Perry, and obviously our outgoing business manager, Mr. Maley. We just hope he does a great job in breaking in our new business manager
You're working well together.
and working well together. Very good. Okay. Next item, public comments on agenda items. Obviously, we have nobody in attendance this evening, so we'll move right along. Minutes. To approve the minutes from the October 19th, 2023 voting session. Moving on to treasurer's report. Mr. King is our treasurer.
The following bills and reports were submitted for approval. Number one, confirm the October 2023 general fund payments in the amount of $1,544,016.92. Number two, confirm the October 2023 cafeteria fund payments in the amount of $84,586.38. Number three, to confirm the 2023 construction fund payments in the amount of $210,946.19. To approve the October 2023 Berkheimer report.
Thank you.
Or not, but I'll give it to you.
Agenda items. A, board policy items. FYI, first reading of the revised policy 827 conflict of interest. Okay, moving on, negotiation items. Mr. O'Neill serves as our chairperson.
We have nothing at this time, but we'd like to get a meeting. Dr. Perry and I were talking about it a little bit tonight. In the future, we'll have a further announcement.
Thank you. Okay. Item C, education items. Mr. Ross is our chair.
Number one, to approve, confirm the release time, staff development requests. Conference and location is listed in the left-hand column. The middle column is the individuals that will attend those conferences. And the conferences are listed on the right column. Two, to approve an agreement with MHY Family Services for the 2023-2024 school year in order to meet educational needs as per student's IEP at a rate of $175 a day.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else under education? Moving right along. Item D, technology. Mr. Moad serves as our chairperson.
There's nothing this month. Thank you.
Thank you. Athletics. Our chairperson is Mr. King.
Number one, to approve the following winter coaching staff and stipends pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Swimming, Katrina Elder, $1,000, and nothing for Katrina.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Extracurricular activities. Ms. Belcastro is our chairperson.
Number one, to preliminary approve a high school band trip to New York City from November 20th, 2024 to November 23rd, 2024. Should it be 2023? Oh. March.
What is that?
It's the
The date, that's all. We need to adjust the date.
Let's clarify that one more time. Read it again. The date, read the date.
The date is it March 20th, 2024 to March 23rd?
Third, that's correct.
Thank you.
I apologize.
And there's an FYI, field trips, first column, destination, middle column, the group, and the third column is the date.
Okay, very good. Anything else? Building and grounds. Our chairperson is Mr. Zaritsky.
Yeah, just one item. We're looking to approve and confirm the following building usage requests in the chart listed. And I don't know, Dr. Perry,
I do have an update.
wanna,
So I mean, we're down to several punch list items. I think I explained this in the past. Punch list things or minor things that still need to be completed before we close out the project. Today, tomorrow and Friday, there's a lot of punch work stuff being done at Center Grange because the kids are not here and the teachers are not here Friday. So there's a lot going on as far as a lot of people in that building doing a lot of those punch list type items. The main big things that are still out there are the playground. The contractor that was supposed to come do the playground has not responded. They found another contractor who they're trying to engage to come and put the playground back together. So it's not from a lack of effort. The general contractor is responsible to make that happen. And I know that they were looking at some alternate people to get that done. And then we'll be dealing and addressing the soccer field sprinklers once we get the water testing work done and inspection. Once that's completed, then we'll be looking to get any damaged sprinklers back up and running. So I would say those are probably the two big items that are still open that need to be done.
is there any other restoration work that needs to be completed in the spring or anything by the general contractor, or is that all where it should be?
We're doing some interior landscape work to that courtyard, but other than that, we're good.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Dr. Perry. You're welcome. Item H, personnel items. Mr. Bloom serves as our chairperson.
Be looking to approve additions to the 2023-2024 substitute list pending receipt, reviewing acceptance of all clearances. Number 2, to approve the resignation of Julie Young, custodian, effective November 3rd, 2023. Number 3, to approve Linda Happich as a paraprofessional at a rate of $13.50 an hour in accordance with the CVESP agreement, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Effective date to be determined. Number 4, to approve Patricia Acorn as a paraprofessional at a rate of $13.50 an hour in accordance with the CVESP agreement, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Effective date November 6th, 2023. Anything else, Dr. Perry?
That is all.
Okay. Mr. Bloom, thank you. Item I, finance items. Ms. DeCenzo is our chairperson.
To approve the audit report for the Central Valley School District for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023, as presented by Seifert and Seifert Certified Public Accountants.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, item J is public comment. We're going to pass on that and we'll open it up to our administrative team. Obviously, we'll start with Mr. Vacan. I just saw the email come across. We got the new edition of Warrior Way, and I'm sure it's very good. Looking forward to reading it, and thank you for all your time. We have Mr. McCreary represent the high
school report. Just a couple FYs and some recognitions. Report cards for the first 9 weeks go out tomorrow. We're already through that portion. We're into the second week of the second 9 weeks. A couple of recognitions, Miss Damp, who ran an Ookie Spooky Cabaret right before Halloween. We had a great attendance for that. Mrs. Lewis with our band in review had a great attendance for that. It was another good evening. You mentioned the newsletter. The newsletter that you just received, we sent out, came from our journalism. And that's who's going to be creating the newsletter this year. They created that, the one you just received this evening. And Mr. McCracken did a really good job. So that's all student created, what you just received in your email.
Oh, very good.
They did a great job with that. And lastly, we just found out today, and Mark and I are very proud and proud of our students and teachers that we got our test scores back from last school year. And Central Valley High School was #1 in algebra, #1 in biology, and #1 in literature, all 3 areas for the county again. So that's a credit to our staff, the work they do, and the work the teachers are doing. So we're very proud to be in that position. Any questions for me?
No.
Thank you.
I appreciate those test scores, and our community is getting a lot of bang for their buck. Thank you.
Kids are doing great.
Yes. Moving right along, Ms. Park. No, I'm sorry. Okay. Whoever, we're gonna assign seats next time. We'll move on to the middle school. Okay, thank you.
As Mr. McCurry said, we just finished up the first 9 weeks. Honor roll was posted to the website today. The first 9 weeks went very well with our new schedule. Very pleased with how things are going. Here a couple of weeks ago, we had the schools to watch site visit team come in. There was five experts in middle school education that came through and spent the entire day with us from roughly 6:30 in the morning to about 6 p.m. So they were here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Interviewed several of our students, observed every teacher twice, met with all central admin, all of the admin, auxiliary staff. I met with a group of parents. They had very great things to say about our program, and that we won't find out how we did until probably right after Christmas. But they were very complimentary of everything that we had to do. As far as some other things in-house, we have our unified youth sports with our bocce starting up here in the very near future. We're sending some kids to a summit kickoff here next week. our teachers are really digging into the data. I wish we had great things to say as the high school as far as our scores, but our scores are doing well. And right now, as Mr. McCreary was saying, we have a pretty solid minor league system pumping our kids up to the high school. Looking at our PVOS that just came out, 7th and 8th grade did a fantastic job. PVOS wise, 6th grade, we're doing a lot of curriculum stuff right now that Mr. I. Miller and Dr. Hyman and Ms. Rosatone have stepped up here in the last couple of weeks that will be continuing throughout the year. So all is well at the middle school, and I'll pass it on to Todd Lane.
Thank you.
We'll continue to monitor through our comprehensive plan. We'll continue to monitor our schedule at the middle school, see how that's going. And we'll pay particular attention to the feedback that we get from our staff and so on and so forth. So we'll continue to evaluate that.
Okay, from Todd Lane, Ms. Fargotti.
So we just finished up our 9 weeks and we are holding parent-teacher conferences today and tomorrow. It's great having like the parents in so they can meet the teachers and also have an opportunity to talk to them about their child's academics. On Tuesday, we held our first Golden Ticket Party. The Golden Ticket Party is held each 9 weeks. It's a combination of our blue and our gold tickets. And the grade level that turns in the most tickets receives a nice little party. So our 3rd grade students won that party this 9 weeks. So they were very excited. We also have some exciting things coming up. We have our annual Penguin Patch Store, candy cane sales, and Holiday Spirit Week. And additionally, I would like to thank Burlington Coat Factory for their $5,000 donation that they provided to Todd Lane Elementary. Dr. Perry and I were able to go to the ribbon cutting ceremony, and they presented us a check there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Nice.
Good evening. Mrs. Kasanovich wasn't able to attend this evening, but I do have an update from her that I can share with all of you. She wanted to let everybody know that just like at Todd Lane, today was the first day of parent-teacher conferences at Center Grange. They'll continue those tomorrow, and report cards are being distributed at those events as well. In the month of October, they conducted all of their safety drills. She felt like all of the students took those drills very seriously, which I guess is unfortunate that we have to do it, but good that the kids understand the significance of it. And also our new SRO officer, Hepler, was there and supportive and was very helpful during that drill. On Friday, October 26th, they had their Halloween parties and a parade. There were lots of parents that were excited to see all of the students in costume. And Officer Hepler was there as well to assist with that event. And then lastly, their classrooms are working on learning about veterans and preparations for Veterans Day. Some of them students have brought in pictures of family members who have served, and they've written sentences about where they've served and the things that they've done. And many are posted in the hallways to share with their school. So that's a little bit of information about Center Grange. And as far as special education goes, as Mr. Dolph said, our unified bocce teams are starting to pick up here. They're sending middle school representatives to a regional event here. And 2 weeks ago, we sent high school students to a leadership event for that age level as well, which is great to see our students being involved in trying to create a more inclusive environment within their school buildings. And then as far as our gifted students go, we have students that are participating in the countywide academic games propaganda competition this week.
Okay.
We are also looking for polar plungers. If anybody's interested in joining our Wicked Warrior team, Freezing for a Reason, that's going to be held on January 27th in Bridgewater. Please see us if you're interested.
That's not why I was raising my hand. I'll support, but I will never plunge again.
We appreciate any support.
My question was about the unified bocce. How are our participation levels? I know we've always, from the beginning, had a great program. Just interested to see what the
Yeah, so I think that's remained pretty steady. I think our feeder program now, we even have a program at Todd Lane, so they're starting to learn the game then, and then it carries on to the middle school and then on to the high school. It gets a little bit tricky at the high school level because kids are involved in so many different things, but we definitely have run the program. We're bound by whatever their regulations are that we can only have so many teams and so many participants. We usually exceed that number, so we try to be creative to allow our high school students to be photographers or to help with the scoreboard or scorekeeping and things like that. So we're never hurting for participants And we appreciate everything that the student body does to support our students as well.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
been great.
Mr. Park, you mentioned Veterans Day. Just a reminder to everyone, school will be closed on Friday. Thank you.
All right, transportation and athletics. I'll start off with transportation first. ABC Transit and Fry Transportation have been doing a pretty good job getting our students to and from school. Ms. Cole continues to do a great job coordinating any of the double ups in the mornings and the afternoons, making sure all of our routes are covered. Both companies are making strides in effort to continue their search for new drivers. So things are getting better, and we're hoping, that we get enough drivers to support the entire and no double ups. Fall sports are complete with the exception of football. As most of you are aware, our football team plays Friday night versus Mars in the quarterfinals of the WPIL playoffs at Ambridge starting at 7:00. We will find out tomorrow, sometime early afternoon, if the game will be live streamed or not. Winter sports official start date is Friday, November 17th. Boys and girls basketball, gymnastics, wrestling, swimming, and of course, I know Mr. Dolph in this park mentioned unified bocce. We just received the schedule today for unified bocce, so that'll be kicking underway here in December. I will be meeting with the winter sports coaches early next week for their preseason meeting to get them started. Last thing, Mr. King, if you don't mind, we'll get together for exit interviews of our fall sports coaches.
Okay.
Pick a date and go from there.
I got a question. Who's going to stream that game if they're approved?
Do you mind if I enter?
Go ahead.
In regards to the live stream, the WPIL owns the rights to the live stream when we get to the playoffs. NFHS has the contract with the WPIL. So if the game is streamed, then you would have to have a subscription to the NFHS.
So you're gonna have to pay for it.
You're gonna have to pay for it to watch the game. If they broadcast it, they don't necessarily broadcast every game. We were able to broadcast our game here last week because NFHS did not choose to do the game. So we broadcasted here, but we can't broadcast on road games and neutral sites and things like that.
Okay.
One note, tomorrow, tryhuddle.com. Okay. I was with Sam today, and for some reason, I'm able to watch the game on huddle.com. We ain't figured out why. Right?
I don't know anything about that, but I do know that NFHS has the contract, and that's the way I would do it. So
I know that it works.
That's good.
I know.
my recommendation is by
Well, no, you don't have to do it.
NHS
You don't have to do it.
as our partner with the WPIAL.
It's free.
All
You don't have
right,
to do it.
enough.
Mr. Cohen, I don't know if I missed it. You were talking about the bus companies making progress. Have they hired anyone? Have we added?
They have. I know that Fry Transportation has hired another driver or two and has taken over another run for us. See, we've had double up since the beginning of the year.
Right.
And obviously we would like to, and I know just as early as today, we split one of those double ups. It was a high school and middle school run.
Yes, they have. We had a meeting last week. Was that last week?
Last week.
Meeting last week with both companies, our attorney, our business managers to reconcile bills and make sure that we're getting what we're paying for. They are actively still recruiting drivers. We don't have enough yet, but they are actively recruiting. Also, their partner Fry has taken some of the runs because they have the personnel to do it. And that was the agreement from day one that, whoever can supply the run gets the run.
Right.
So yes, we're getting there. But we're not there yet. I'll say to the public, we're still looking for drivers and we're looking for cafeteria workers and paraprofessionals and, if you're looking custodians, if you're looking for work, we're certainly low on custodians right now. We've had some retirements, and we continue to advertise, but we haven't been able to fill them. So that's certainly a challenge. So yes, they have and they are, but we're still not where we need to be yet. Not to overtake the conversation here. This morning, there was a driver training for both the drivers from ABC and Fry. We're all here today, down at Center Grange, organized and put together by Mrs. Park, Mrs. Cole, Mrs. Kasanovich was a part of it. All of our administrators stopped down to talk to them. Sam was a part of it. I went down, talked to the drivers, thanked them for their commitment to the district, and we did a lot of work with them about dealing with behaviors on bus and things like that, and safety, and dealing with medical issues, so on and so forth. So I was very clear to the drivers that they're part of the Central Valley community here, and that we appreciate them. And if they have other folks that want to be a part of our community here, that we want to take them on, and that they can help also recruiting for us. And ultimately, even the fact that we're kind of unique in what we've done here with the two companies working together with one contract for us. So I felt like the meeting went very well this morning. Aaron, I'm sure that you and Sam have your own perspective on it, but I thought that we had a good morning with that today.
Great.
Positive feedback from them. And it was really good. So.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thanks, Sam. I would be remiss if I didn't reach out to Ms. Hicks and Mr. Vakovic. Any other comments, or you satisfy everything?
Mr. Dahl took care of it for the middle school. I have nothing.
Thank you. I don't want you to feel neglected. Okay, thank you. All right. I know you have some comments. Do you have any more?
None.
Okay.
Guess you're telling me shut up now. No, I have nothing else.
Okay. Any board member comments?
I do actually. Go ahead.
Probably might talk about say, couple things. So kudos out. It was great to hear the audit report. Obviously that goes to our business office and the guy that's in charge for. I don't know when it was finally done, but I know Mr. Maley was in charge of that, and I'm sure our new business manager is helping out also. So that's a tribute to them as far as how we're right on target, with how we spend our money and how we're saving our money and so on. And that's a tribute to you guys and the business office in general. So again, kudos to you guys, and I hope we continue on that road. Okay. The other one is it's great to hear from the administration on the things that are going on in each school building, and it's really nice to hear. Years ago when I on the board early, when they start keeping score with what school districts were where they were performing academically, I wasn't too happy. I got to be very honest with you, and I can't tell you now how pleasantly surprised I am to hear, where we are now from when I first years back got on this board and where we were into where we have taken it, with the direction, obviously, starting with the top all the way down to staff. And I always felt that staff makes it work. I really feel standing in front of the room makes it happen, with the supervision, obviously, of administration. But that's, I think a lot of kudos should go out to our staff for making that happen, from going where we were to where we are now in leading this county, in our test score. To me, that's fantastic. I mean, that's a great accomplishment. So that's a big tribute to our staff. I think they should get probably a little bit more recognition. It'd be nice to see that in newspapers, to be honest with you. And just with that said, do we have any type of comparison, like on paper, what other districts are doing versus what we're doing?
So we put that together. We just got it today.
Together in the county, but yeah, we have some spreadsheets.
Can we get an opportunity to see that?
Dr. Perry can share, yeah.
Okay. But again, when you talk with your staff, at least, I don't know, I'm sure the other people on the board.
We plan to, believe me.
I'm sure the other people on the board feel the same way I do, but so maybe, I think to give them those kudos of how we feel about them, and what they're doing, I think it's a big tribute to them, what they're accomplishing with our kids. That's fantastic.
I just want to commend the response we had. There was a threat 2 weeks ago for the varsity football game. that was received late in the day with possible act of violence. Whether you think it's serious or not, we have to respond like it's going to happen. Dr. Perry had a very short amount of time. The threat was received, I believe, after 3 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. Rumor of a threat. Decision has to be made. Are you going to have the game? What are we going to do for the game? Dr. Perry reached out to all the necessary people, the superintendent from the other school, the WPIL, our police forces, all of our administration, and rallied everyone together to make sure that our student body, our athletes and everyone in our community was safe. It's a shame that the threat like that, the amount of resources that have to be put in place to do that and the cost associated with it, I don't think people realize, but we're lucky that we have the administration we have to go out and do to complete what needed to be completed to make that a safe game. And I also feel our community responded well. Both police chiefs had the full, the police chiefs were there, basically their full police forces, county sheriffs, state police, canine units, undercover SWAT. I mean, I don't think people always realize what has to be done when one of those possible threats come through. But I think we responded to it in the correct way to make a safe environment for everyone.
Yeah, and I echo that. I agree. And, our high school administration, you guys did a terrific job. All of our workers that were there, everybody just steps up, did what they need to do. Our local police are unbelievable. Like, I call the chief and they had people here immediately, and then they reach out and get county resources, so on and so forth. So yes, we do greatly appreciate, our staff, our law enforcement partners, so on and so forth. In the Aliquippa community as well. I mean, we all came together and did what we needed to do to make sure everybody was safe to go to that event. I mean, that is a community event. And fortunately, we were able to still hold the community event safely. And unfortunately, we even have to have these types of discussions. But I do appreciate our community. Our community stepped up.
I just don't want those things, we almost take for granted that we're going to respond that way because that's the way our district has always responded and our community has responded. And I just want to make sure it doesn't go unrecognized, that it's appreciated and it's recognized by everyone that there's a lot of effort that goes into that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moet. And I concur. Anybody else? Motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Bloom, seconded by Mr. Ross. Meeting adjourned.